let me do a few tricks, some old and then some new tricks. I'm very versatile.
Well, greetings from Tangier. Sorry, no Mickey and Aurora today, because I couldn't bring Mickey and Aurora with me. We are in Tangier, and I am going to, at the end of this, show you one or two photographs and clips of one or two things that I have been up to. I saw a wonderful shop which has just been opened 2 weeks ago by Frank de Biasi, who is a famous decorator, and he has a line of the fabulous Marissa Barrett's jewellery there. So anybody who wants to buy Marissa's jewellery can now order it from Frank's shop, which is a street over from the flat that I'm staying in. And then I was also very fortunate to be shown around their granny's house by his great friend, the famous photographer Johnny Rocha. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So there are one or two pictures of Johnny and me. So I'll post those all at the end of today's episode. And now, without further ado, I am going to plunge in with what Anne Moore has to say. And you need to bear with me if there are street noises, because this is in the heart of Tangier, or as they would say here, Tanger. So, Anne Moore says, I've been reading James Middleton's very personal memoir in the mail. If you've seen it, could you please give us your views on it? I have seen the serialization. You're certainly right. It is very personal. I think if it helps people who suffer from depression and who have certain genuine thoughts that have been made fashionable by people who have clearly never had the thoughts but thought they'd jump on the bandwagon of ideation, one tear left out. I think it's to the good. As some of you might know, I am an ambassador for SOS Silence of Suicide. So anything to prevent a permanent solution to what is always essentially a temporary problem is, in my mind, good. Having said that, I am going to answer the question absolutely truthfully. James Middleton is accidentally famous. He is famous second hand. He has accomplished nothing in his own right to have made him famous. And there are two ways of looking at it. That once you have fame imposed upon you, the same could be said of the Markle family, incidentally, because they have also had the spotlight shone upon them when none of them actually elected to jump onto the stage. They have effectively been dragged onto the stage by a sibling. So how they choose to deal with the problem or the dilemma is up to them. Now, I would say from my point of view, personal point of view, having spent, well, the last 50 years of my life desperately trying to cling on to that bit of privacy which had not been stripped away from me with no complicity on my part. I have to say, and I will say this as somebody who in 1974, Howard Kaminsky wanted to publish a book I wrote, a book on philosophy called The Substance and the Shadow. And he made the valid point, I suppose, that since I was not a doctor of philosophy, and since I was not known as a philosopher, he needed to have the book promoted with my personal story as to how I came to gain the wisdom that permitted me to write the book. And I refused. It's never been published because I didn't want to violate my own privacy. And for the next 74, 84, 94, 2000, so the next 25 years or so, I fought tooth and nail to retain those aspects of my privacy which had not already been stripped away from me. And when it became apparent that my children were going to be burdened with the misrepresentations that I had burdened with, I took the decision, which I didn't take lightly or easily, to jump on the bandwagon and violate my privacy to the extent that it was necessary to preserve my children from the rather odious predicament that I had found myself in. I didn't want them having to be dealing with all the rubbish that I had had to be dealing with for the previous 2.5 decades. And so because of that, I wrote my autobiography. But before that, and since that, I have been very careful that even though I have lived in the public eye for the next 25 years, nearly 30 years, nobody really knows what I get up to on a daily basis. I mean, so, and there are aspects of my life that I'm very open about, but I'm very careful to preserve my privacy. So I suppose you could say the point I'm making is, it is somewhat astonishing to me that James Middleton chose to effectively violate his privacy to the extent that he did. Now, you could equally say it's in a good cause and it's commendable and he should be praised for it. It could also be said, too much information from public and partially public figures is not always a good idea. But because he has addressed the subject of depression and what it can lead to, and because his sister and brother-in-law are who they are, obviously the Prince and Princess of Wales, I suppose you can say he is aiding the knowledge on the subject. Let's leave it at that. Dinah Beebe says, Lady C, hopefully your bongo drums are beating out info on 2 pressing questions. Are the birthday messages from King Charles III and Queen Camilla and Prince William and Princess Catherine really the olive branch the MSM is making them out to be? And what are your thoughts on the A-listers promised us by the Sussex PR squad? Abigail Spencer and Kelly McKee Zajfan, or however it's pronounced, don't seem very A-list to me. I think I know your answer already, but do they strike you as A-listers? Well, as you can see, Kelly McKee Zagfern, or whatever her name is, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Is it Jafern? Is it Zafern? Is it Zafgan? Who knows? She's so well known that her name has never crossed my radar before. Abigail Spencer is resolutely E-list. She is where Meghan was when they were both in supporting roles in Suits. She has remained there because she hasn't married a prince and capitalized upon the notoriety that Meghan has so skillfully managed to create in the previous years. 6, is it? Oh, well, I think you can judge my opinion of the A-listers. I mean, my understanding is that anybody on the upper end of the alphabet flees in the opposite direction when they see Meghan and Harry, or Meghan on her own. They won't flee forever with Harry if he and Meghan get separated and divorced. But Meghan, I think she's blotted her copy. One tear left eye. Poor darling. Now, as to the birthday messages from the King and Queen and the Prince and Princess of Wales, olive branch. The press are such a joke, constantly on about wretched olive branches. My understanding is that nobody is embracing Harry except with the caution that Cleopatra would have embraced the asp had she wished to remain living. What the King and Queen and the Prince and Princess of Wales have done is they have been diplomatic, they have been politic, they have issued greetings which mean that they are pouring oil on troubled water. It's a major birthday. They always note major birthdays from any member of the royal family, whether they are in or out. So I hope that answers the question. It's not an olive branch. It is politesse. It is politic. It is diplomatic. So I hope that answers the question. Alison Bridgeford says, Lady C question. I think it's apparent to all that Harry is in a coercive and controlling relationship. I don't know why you'd say that, just because Meghan keeps her hand on his backhand. When she switches the little finger, it means Harry turns 3 degrees to the north. And when she presses the index finger, it means Harry, smile. And when she presses the middle finger in his back, it means Harry, grimace. I don't know why you would think that was either controlling or coercive. I think let's not forget that sometimes in relationships, people aren't coerced, they are induced, they are seduced, they are collusive. Let's remember that. That doesn't mean they're not duped as well. Depends on the circumstances. I need to say that for legal reasons. He appears brainwashed. Well, he's actually said that he was brainwashed. He put it differently. I didn't know I was unhappy until Meg told me. I didn't know this until Meg told me. I didn't know that until Meg told me. Meg is the one who has told me all these things, and now my eyes have been opened. He appears brainwashed, and I totally believe that Meghan calls the press without his knowledge. My understanding is that she does sometimes alert the media when she needs it. Oh, Jeff, darling, Jeff, oh, I just love Jeff Rayner. And as for Carl Larson, I mean, who ever heard of a more fabulous guy than him? And Jeff Rayner's just been wonderful. I mean, look at what the favor he did over Daddy. I didn't even need to write a letter to Daddy. I got Jeff to click the camera. He appears brainwashed, and I totally believe that Meghan calls the press without his knowledge and speaks to journalists while he has no idea. I'm actually told that that does happen some of the time, but not quite as much as you would like to believe. I'm concerned she controls him with drugs. I don't think she needs to control him with drugs. I think he already has, by his own admission, had a well-practiced habit of using drugs to, shall we say, leap over bridges from one side of the river to the other, enabling, feeding, and encouraging addiction. Well, that's what enablers do, but is she responsible for what choices he made and what substances he availed himself of and what damage he caused to his mind before she met him? Not trying to let her off the hook either, just making sure that he remains pinned on it. Pretending to love him while writing everything down for the future, that's pure supposition. And also, I don't think Meghan needs to write everything down, although I'm sure she's kept notes. But she doesn't need to write everything down because reality in Meghan's hands, as she has established with her demeanour over the last several years, is like putty in a sculptor's. And so if it works, it's molded in this direction, and if it doesn't work in favour of the narrative, it's molded in another direction. So fact becomes fiction, and fiction becomes fact. And pretending to love him, well, I have absolutely no doubt that she genuinely fell in love with the position. Can you imagine? Royalty. I'm going to be royal. This happens in some controlling relationships. Pretending to be in love and writing everything down. It's so worrying. Nobody can help all the while he is conditioned into believing this is what he wants. Well, is it what he wants? Some of the time I understand it is. Some of the time I understand it isn't. But in all relationships, you have to take the rough with the smooth. It's just how weighted is a relationship in one direction or another. I think it's really dangerous to absolve Harry of all blame. I mean, you know, the Stockholm Syndrome became very fashionable as a result of Patty Hearst's kidnapping. Patty Hearst was kidnapped. She didn't elect to go with the Symbionese Revolutionary Army followers. They took her. Harry elected to go with Meghan. Let's remember the starting point in all of this, because that is really important as to what choices he made, when and where and how. He's over 40 years old now. He was mid-30s when the relationship began. He wasn't a child. If he suffers from arrested development and it's not prenatal, he has to take responsibility for his actions. That doesn't mean that one does not allow for mitigation. Let's put it that way. Because yes, there should be mitigation, but only to the extent he deserves it. Victoria says, why should Harry continue to have the same rights as he had when he lived in the UK? He is no longer a working royal. He's working against the royal family and has no home in the UK. Victoria, he doesn't have the same rights that he had when he lived in the UK and was a working royal. He has different rights and different entitlements. That's why he lost his security. He's trying to regain what he regards as rights, but they were privileges. He doesn't have the same rights. If you are the president of Coca-Cola and you walk out, the rights you had when you were the president of Coca-Cola cease to exist, but that doesn't mean you don't have pension rights and employee rights and directors' rights that remain intact. Harry's situation is not the same as it was. If you are alluding to the fact that because he is a son of the king, he falls into a particular category which entitles him in the correct meaning of the word, may I emphasize, to certain rights and attendant privileges, he's not unique. Princess Madeleine of Sweden is also the younger child of a reigning monarch. She has similar rights. The fact that she doesn't abuse them is something else again. You know, there are many royals who fly under the radar and who have the privileges that go along with being members of reigning royal families, or indeed presidential families. So I hope that clears that one up. DTGB says, hi Lady C, I'm posing this question to you because of your unwavering support of a free press, and I'm hoping you will be willing to share your wisdom on this struggle I find myself having at the moment. I too have also always been unwavering in my belief in a free press and freedom of speech to a point. But recently I find myself questioning this position. No one is more shocked than me. As I watch the election cycle I am sick to my stomach and wondering, should this be allowed? I don't even like the candidate. Sorry, I know who you mean. They are trying to denounce, but I'm smart enough to have done my own independent research and know they are purposely misleading. I've lost my place. They are purposely misleading viewers to drive towards an outcome they view as favourable. I certainly don't support government-controlled media, but who can ensure that we are getting the facts? True facts. Because if the free press isn't telling the truth, then what is their worth? I have learned so much watching your channel, and I know you probably have a perspective that will help me in my temporary, hopefully, lapse of conviction that the free press is paramount. Thank you so much in advance if you are willing to answer this question. Kind regards, Barbara. Barbara, I hear your frustration. I understand your frustration. Your frustration is born of the reality of what a free press involves. Anybody can set up a newspaper. All newspapers started somewhere, usually with very little funding originally, and ended up being successful. You can start your own media channel on YouTube or wherever else. Anybody can. But in a free press, market forces and fashion call the shots. It can't be helped if 98% of the press is interested, or 50% or 80% or 60% of the free press is inclined to one view but not to another. People can vote with their pockets. They walk away from that which they do not wish to be a part of. Beyond that, or starting your own publication, I really don't know what else anybody can do, except look, listen, and learn about considered judgment. Don't ever believe anything just because you've read it. News is not a religion. Just because the newspapers tell you one person's brilliant and the other is a dimwit doesn't mean that that is true. It's up to each of us to make up our own minds, to display discernment and skepticism. And even from a distorted press, you can end up, hopefully, if you have discernment and exercise your powers of reason and cast a wide enough net to get differing opinions, you can end up heading towards what you hope is a reasonable interpretation of the facts. I don't believe a thing I read in any newspaper wholeheartedly. I, at all times, exercise discernment, and I think everybody else should do so. You know, there used to be a saying that was popular when I was younger: consider the source. Well, just because somebody's telling you a whole bunch of lies doesn't mean that they're not giving you information. If you know their lies, you can get to the facts, even on the back of those lies. It simply requires effort on one's part. But we are all the guardians of our own souls, and it is up to each of us to arrive at the truth, exercising our judgment. And if we fail to do so, we are failing ourselves, our loved ones, and society generally. We're also failing our true purpose on earth. Kiwi Anne says, I saw on one channel that Thomas Jr. and Samantha's mother had sadly passed away. That's right. I haven't seen it on any channels. I've been really busy, I'm afraid. I've had practically no time to do anything except breathe and respond to my environment. So I haven't seen what channel you're talking about. And until I saw this observation, I was under really an interdict, because of course I've known that Thomas Jr. and Samantha's mother had passed away, because she told me, and they didn't want any publicity. So that should actually really muck up the people who think that they are publicity hounds. I'm not going to go into what I was told, but let me put it this way. She didn't die in 10 minutes. So this has been coming for a while, and they have had to be dealing with it, and they have been dealing with it. And they have my sympathies. So, more than that, I would prefer not to say, except that absolutely yes, their mother was dying and she died, and of course her passing was a very sad and disturbing event for them. More than that I won't say, because I'm not going to violate anybody's privacy. AMBK says, Lady C, we recently adopted a beautiful little Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. I have been reading more about the breed and was saddened to learn that they are prone to many health problems, so much so that Norway has banned the breed due to welfare concerns. I read that many of them are in pain and discomfort due to their brains being too big for their skulls. They are such beautiful dogs with the sweetest temperament, and the thought of them living a life of pain is just heartbreaking. What are your thoughts on this subject as an experienced dog owner? Thanks, Albie. Well, I'm actually the patron of the Cavalier King Charles Club, so for what that's worth. When I decided that I was going to switch from Springer Spaniels, I decided I was going to switch to Cavalier King Charles. I just knew they would be right for me. And a vet begged me not to have one and said about their health problems, inbreeding, etc., etc. So I opted to get a Cavalier King Charles who has a more pronounced forehead, which means more space for the brain, and a longer snout again, and hopefully that would assist both brain and heart problems. So far, so good. They are the most wonderful, loving breed. I am astonished to see that Norway has banned the breed. I am seriously concerned with societies that are so caring about certain people, places, animals, things, that they will just outright seek to have their eradication. Oh my dear, that's really loving, isn't it? No nonsense about trying to breed back out the problems. No, 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 no. Let's just be radical. Let's just be so caring that we eliminate the whole breed. I mean, madness, absolute madness. I think many Cavalier King Charles have problems and many don't. And it behooves you to try to get those that have no problems. That is the important thing. And I am not aware of the fact that they are in pain or discomfort. So I'm not aware of any of that. I've never been aware of that. I do know that there are health problems, but I wasn't aware that they were in pain because of it. So I hope that answers the question. And it strikes me as very odd that they would be in pain and loving at the same time. I'm afraid I don't see those two conditions being comfortable bedfellows. I don't know what you think, but that's my view on it. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please keep the questions and comments coming in so I will know what you would like us to be speaking about. Okay? Thank you so much. And now I am going to turn you over to looking at the other stuff. Okay? Thank you so much. Take good care. Godspeed. And if you have truly enjoyed this, would you care to like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and take good care. Bye-bye.
She got a farm in South Africa and lives in London. But so she's a nomad, you know? She's what's called a fiscal nomad.
Well, my husband retired from the Rifle Lloyd. So he used to go to Johannesburg on business. And then he would say, I don't know why he likes it, because I had a godmother who was in Bali, Rhodesia in those days. So I used to fly from New Zealand through South Africa. Can you go to that? I said, but Kate, it's not Johannesburg. You hate altitude, so you will hate Johannesburg. Kate is down at sea level. Why don't we take the blue train, which was the smart train in those days? You got the suite on the train, which was really luxurious. And then you had a sitting room and a bedroom.
Jonathan, you're on camera.
Very civilized way, but I'm 24 hours. Fell in love with you. They were out sea.
And I think.
So, this is now just off the boulevard in Tangier. It's a new shop. It's Habibi Burton. It's one of the chicest shops in Tangier. It's just opened and it has fabulous handmade stuff, including the stuff from Marissa Barrett. So we're going in. It's the end in hello darling.
Thank you.
How are you?
We're so happy you're here.
So
Welcome. Our new shop in Tangier.
So
Welcome.
Isn't this wonderful?
Wonderful. We're open 2 weeks now, and you're one of our first guests. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Good. So come and show me one or
So
two
we just had a
things.
wonderful opening with Marissa Barrett. Let me show the jewelry here. Some beautiful pieces here. Look at these. Amazing. Wonderful.
Look at
yeah?
that. Isn't that just design?
Heaven.
Oh,
Is that a nose for a nose or for an ear?
Actually, for an ear.
All right.
is that not that?
Isn't it fabulous? Hold it up. Let's
And
see.
they're not heavy.
Let's see.
They're not heavy,
Hold it
they're
up
not
here. Hold
heavy.
up your ear. Let's see.
They're absolutely perfect.
Wonderful. Look at that. Gorgeous.
Shall I take it out and just try it on for a second?
Yeah.
How's that?
Wow.
Gorgeous.
Amazing. One, she would love
Wonderful,
it. Yes. Yes.
Marissa's so good. Darling,
Very
God, can you
talented.
get some of this stuff because it's just absolutely magical.
It's heaven.
Oh, Marissa is so talented.
No, it's great. Great.
Look at this.
So everything we make here in Morocco, in Tangier, baskets, wood, ceramics, textiles, everything's made here. We're so excited to work with all the vendors, our
So
artisans
it's
here.
all pretty much handmade.
All handmade here, designed by us here in Tangier, and we make it from scratch. It's wonderful.
You turned it off. Bad boy. Come and show me some more.
Okay.
It's so lead me through it. Oh, look at all of these
at all the
wonderful
people.
customers. Oh,
Local tangerines. Hello, and people from Florida.
okay. So this is more.
This is
of
more Marissa Barrett's jewelry, which she's designed and made in Marrakesh with beautiful stones and antique bits and bobs that she's found and designed in Marrakesh.
And some more hair.
Yeah,
Oh,
more here.
look at me. And you.
It's great. It's
Oh,
wonderful.
it's oh, look at this stuff. This is so magical. Oh, look at
Wonderful.
that.
Beautiful.
Isn't it wonderful?
How does it go?
It's
Oh, like,
stuff.
oh, like that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
magical. Oh, I like this even more.
Ooh, look at that.
Stunning.
Divine.
Absolutely stunning. I love the way she uses different stones.
Yeah, yeah. And the colors are magnificent.
No, this is very Palm Beach.
I think so.
Very Palm Beach. But look at this stuff. You have such wonderful
Yeah,
stuff.
so we mix in antiques with some wonderful embroideries. Nice things we make locally at the Fondue Weavers. Just a real mix. These we make here as well with the spifa, which is the local ribbon work that they hand make in Morocco.
Very chic.
Thank you.
Very chic. Well, darling, I wish you lots
Thank you so much
of luck.
for visiting. I'm glad you
And
came. Thank you. Come again.
I will, with some money. And as promised, I am going to share today and every other day for the next week or two the blurb about Kids Out, and also show you how, if you would wish to make a contribution, you can. I have been happy to make a contribution. It is a genuine charity. It has a charity number registered with the charity commissioners, and I think it's a wonderful cause. So God bless you. Bye-bye.